Hello, and welcome to EDU 3370, Day 2. Your readings for today consists of 3 chapters from a book by Carol-Ann Tomlinson. The chapters are Differentiating Content, Process, and Product. I do apologize for a couple sentences being cut off of the bottom of the pages. I could not figure out how to get the copier to get all of those in. So I don't think it will inhibit your understanding at all, but it looks kind of strange. There is another differentiated instruction article that will also help you understand differentiated instruction. Now these 4 articles will really help you to be able to complete the differentiated activity assignment that is due today. We'll talk more about that later. The last 3 articles, Language and Cognitive Development, Major Reading Components, and the Case Study Information for Part 1, those 3 articles are designated to help you fulfill your assignment of the case study. It's going to help you understand what we are talking about with each of those components and how children develop reading through language and cognitive development. So you'll need to look at all of these readings and carefully take in the information. There are also 3 videos for today on content, process, and product. Again, they are put out there to help you better understand how to complete the assignment on the differentiated activity. So please watch them, and then you will be able to complete that assignment. So your assignments for today, you have a discussion forum in Day 2. Remember the stipulations for discussion forum, that your post need to be 200 words. You'll have to post before you can see anyone else's, and then you need to have 2 replies of at least 100 words. Those replies could be in conversation form so that you're replying to someone who has replied to you as well. You have the differentiated activity and the case study monitoring reading progress, Part 1. Let's talk about these assignments. The differentiated activity assignment. So basically, it's going to look like this. I would like for you to create a table. You can actually use the one that's in the syllabus, just copy and paste that, or you can make your own, either in Word or Excel. What you're going to do is within your context, because I really want this learning that's taking place this week to be able to be applied in whatever context or situation that you teach. So you may choose the grade level and you may choose the activity. So you're going to need a standard. If you're in the state of Florida, you can get your standards in CPALMS, and it needs to be a reading related activity. Now it could be within a content area, something having to do with social studies, but that the students are reading an article and having to answer questions, or it could be science where they're doing the same type of thing, or it could be strictly an ELL activity, an ELA activity, English Language Arts. You make the decision. You choose the standard. You at the top then put the basic description of the activity. Now what's going to happen is we are going to hypothetically divide your class basically into 4 different groups. Average students, your advanced students, your below level students, and your ELL students. So now, how could you? Now, of course, you would never differentiate in all 3 areas for all 4 types of students in one lesson. Absolutely know that. However, these are giving you options for what you could do. So then I want you to put, for the average students, what would you do? How could you differentiate their content of that activity? How could you differentiate their process of that activity? How could you differentiate the product of that activity? Same thing with the advanced students. Same basic activity, but how could you differentiate using content process, and product. Then you're going to continue with your below level content, process, and product, and your ELL content, process, and product. If you're going to think about this in kind of a general way, the content is basically what the students are learning. The process is how they are learning it, and the product is how they demonstrate to you that they have learned it, the evidence that they're going to give you. So if you will fill out the activity in a chart format just like this, then you will upload it in coursework. The other assignment that you have for today is part 1 of the case study monitoring reading progress. Now you will need the information sheet for this particular assignment, part 1, which is located in your readings that I stated earlier that you needed to read. So everyone has basically the name of the same student and some basic information. If you pull up that sheet, you can see there's basic information. But there are pieces of it that are left blank. That is because, again, I want you to be able to apply this to your grade level, your subject, whatever it is that you're teaching, so that you can learn about this through your context. So anything that's left blank, you can fill in. So you're going to choose the grade level and other pieces of information to suit your context. Within that information sheet that you are given kind of some likes and dislikes about this student, Garrett, who is a male. You are going to also learn about the major components of reading, how he basically performs in each one of those. There's a basic description. There are also assessment scores that we are going to assume that you or a reading specialist in your school has given Garrett, and those are his scores for part 1. So this is really what you need to do for part 1. You're going to take all of that information and you're going to write it in narrative format, kind of like a school psychologist would in presenting information in the psychology report. You're going to write the information in a narrative format. You will find the information that you need to include in the syllabus where it says part 1. All of that information needs to be included. Please use headings and subheadings when writing this. It's much easier to follow. Tell the story of your case study student, which is Garrett, using the information given to you plus what you add. You will need to understand the major components of reading, because when you have to write about them, you have to prove to me that you understand what each of those are, not just the information that you've been given on the paper. So the videos and the reading will help your understanding of the concepts. So really part 1 is just background information and a plan for what you are going to do hypothetically in providing support and interventions for Garrett. And then, as you can see later on in the week, you are going to be given hypothetical data of the interventions that you have performed with Garrett, and then you're going to make some instructional decisions based upon this data. But part 1 is just about the data and getting to know the student and his needs. If you have questions or comments about today and about the assignment, start with the blog and make sure that you ask the question there. See if anyone can give some answers. I'll be monitoring that as well. And then if you still have questions, please email the instructor, but make sure that you give 24 hours advance notice, or when you put the email in that you give 24 hours for them to reply to you. All right. Happy learning today.